Killer. Qu'est-ce que c'est? Oh, David Byrne came by. We had lunch earlier. It's stuck in my head now. 2, 3, 4. Do do boop 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 boo. Do 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 do. Hey there. Hi. This is Jimmy here, and this is all of my hair. Christ Almighty. You can trim me up after the picks of the week. Da da ba da ba doo. Hello. I'm trying. There we go. Much better. Now the on-air sign is in the shot. Well, sort of. Oops. Oh, my copy of Wired in the shot. Or do I? I don't know. All right, first up this week. Hi there. I bought Crimson Flower #1 from the Dark Horse publisher. I don't know what this book is about at all, but it's written by Matt Kindt, so that's why I picked it up. Even from the cover, it's kind of hard to say. It looks like kind of a... You know, honestly, I have no idea. Who cares? It's Matt Kindt. I think I even had mentioned Matt Kindt a few times and was like, what is that guy doing these days? And he had just done that Bang miniseries. He's doing, you know, for whatever reason, I always feel like he's not doing enough. Probably because he's one of the few guys of his class who's not working a lot for Marvel or DC these days. If ever. I'm sure he has, but like him and like Jeff Lemire and who else was from around that time? Like the late aughts. A lot of those guys who were coming up in the late aughts all, you know, got mainstream jobs in comics as they should. Except for Kindt. And not that Matt Kindt hasn't done stuff like that or hasn't done superheroes, because he might still write a lot for Valiant. I just don't read Valiant very often, but Valiant is a superhero publisher. I would consider them. In fact, they're probably the only other one outside of Marvel and DC. It doesn't matter. Also, speaking of indie darlings, I also got Rain Like Hammers #1. I also don't know what's happening in this one. But this is Brandon Graham, who's another kind of indie darling, as I may have mentioned. And I think I mentioned him because he did Prophet. So this was that Image book from from the 90s that he brought back a few years ago. And then also Multiple Warheads I'd also have read. That's really good stuff. And King City, for that matter. I think I've read King City. So this is like his sort of sci-fi. It's what I've come to think of as kind of Wes Anderson-y. There was that book from last year called Hespera or something like that by what was that guy's name? I can't remember. But this sort of cutesy twee. It's sort of like indie sci-fi. The guy, what was that? Farrell Dalrymple. He's really good. That guy hasn't done much of anything lately. My friend Jad plays D&D with that guy sometimes, so that's Jad. And then finally, a book that I do know something about. This is Iron Fist, Heart of the Dragon #1. Now, I don't know if this is going to be a regular series, because right now I can't even think of where Iron Fist is in comics in Marvel continuity. The last time Iron Fist was in a book on the reg was Power Man and Iron Fist, and I want to say that was like 2017. And so I don't know. I mean, he shows up whenever there's like a big fight, like War of the Realms or something like that. When there's a big crossover or a big battle going on in New York, he's always there. But he hasn't had his own book for a long time. His own book. And this is written by Larry Hama, who is a very storied comic book writer. He's been around since the 70s, I want to say. Bit of a kook, and one of Jim Shooter's prodigies. He wrote, when I was a kid, he was writing G.I. Joe. That was his big thing. He also had a book called Nth Man that he had created. And what else did he write? I think he wrote Wolverine for a long time, but kind of after, like, he started writing Wolverine when I was like a junior in high school, I want to say. Maybe even like earlier, when I had stopped reading superheroes for the most part. So I missed his run when it originally ran, but I have since read it. And it's good. I like Larry Hama. Larry Hama also wrote The Nam a lot, which I think is why I've even mentioned him here. He's great, but he has a very, very devoted following from his work on the G.I. Joe comic, and I didn't really ever get into G.I. Joe, so that's picks of... And then picks of... What is it? Last week. Sorry. Still haven't. I've been picking away at my to read stack, but it's still really tough to carve out. You know how busy you get when you're in quarantine during a global pandemic for a year? Well, that's what's happened to me. But I am taking a lot of steps to give myself this weekend to read everything. So hopefully I'll be able to show off all that. But to begin with, Thunderbolts, King in Black #1. Woo! This was super good. I don't remember if it's a one-shot or not. Shit. I hope not. It's by Matt Rosenberg, who I've been talking about lately, but who hasn't been writing for Marvel much lately. And Juan Ferreira. That sounds right. Really good art. So the Thunderbolts, as I mentioned last week, the basic core, the teams are always kind of different, but the basic core premise is that they are supervillains. It's basically Marvel's Suicide Squad. They're supervillains who are either being forced to work for the government in a black ops sort of manner, or are trying or want to, volunteering to try to reform themselves. Now, in this case, since the invasion of the symbiote god Null and all of his dragons, they recruited Batroc the Leaper, the Rhino, the Taskmaster. This isn't Moonstone. I don't remember her name now. And another guy. Some characters were introduced just to not be around for very long. But so far, it's been really fun. The kingpin of crime, Wilson Fisk, who has been mayor of New York City for some time now and so has gone straight, he's the one who put it together, because not unlike, I think it was during War of the Realms. In fact, that's the thing Marvel's been doing. Marvel's done that a few times. Like during the Secret Invasion, when the Skrulls invaded, Norman Osborn ended up being the one who saved everybody. And Wilson Fisk is very popular mayor of New York, even though he was the kingpin of crime. Anyway, I thought I had more to that. I don't. I have to. In fact, I read most of these like last Thursday, so I've already forgotten what a lot of them. But I also read Man's World #1. This was a lot of fun. Bee-ba-boo. Oh yes, okay, that's right. Yeah, this is a very kind of and not a surprise at all, given the kind of aesthetic, but a very Westworld type thing. It's this futuristic amusement park. I think it's a whole planet, in fact, called Man's World, and where men go to be manly, and they go on like safaris for dinosaurs and stuff like that. But our heroes here have decided to see a little bit of the local color, and they regret that already. So, yeah, that's a real fun. I'm looking forward to the rest of that. What else do we got here? Ah, yes, of course, Space Bastards #1. This, what is even to say? So, the basic premise of this is that in the future, in the intergalactic society, right? Yeah. Delivery men are amongst the highest paid. Delivery persons, rather, are amongst the highest paid, jobs in the galaxy. And you're also allowed to kill your competition and take their deliveries, and then you get paid for those too. So it's very cutthroat. It's a bunch of bastards up in space delivering packages. I love when a premise is that simple. It's just about the mailman. And then finally, I read the Chris Claremont Anniversary Special. Now, despite the fact that I've taken a lot of shots at Chris Claremont lately, this was so much fun. It was, so Dani Moonstar is the main character, and basically she kind of goes through time to all these different eras. I don't remember what the premise is, what the story is, but it's really just so Chris Claremont can write all the characters that he's written over the years, including the New Mutants. And I don't think Iron Fist is actually in here. And that was one of his first books, but... Yes, that's right. Oh, that's right. Okay, so Dani Moonstar recently became a Valkyrie. I want to say during the Secret Wars. And Hela sends her through a bunch of different dimensions to learn some shit. I don't remember. But yeah, it's really, yeah. So like there's a whole part that takes place during Captain Marvel, which was in the 70s, which was when Claremont was writing it. That was also when he created the character Rogue that everyone is very fond of. We'll even see a young Gambit in this and stuff too. It is a lot of fun. A lot of different artists. And, you know, for once, it was that thing where... Because my main problem with Claremont has always been his prose. It's always just... Dude. Chris Claremont, and this, I haven't done the math, but I bet you it comes out to... He writes 5 words for every 1 word that another comic book writer writes. That's not exaggeration. In fact, that number's low. So that's the sort of thing that's always like, dude, shut up. But something like this, it was like, okay, well, now we're reminiscing and going down memory lane, so, yeah. To be honest with you, I think I was just crabbing on him earlier, too, because I was just being a crab in general, as Pixel last week. All right. Is that everything? I'm glad I cleaned up while I was doing that. Also, I didn't want to make this super long, so. Okay, that's it for this week, then. Do what now? Oh, press the stop button. All right. Psycho Killer.